Good morning. With me today is Jordan Welch, an entrepreneur, a YouTube top creator, and we're here to talk about what he's doing, how he's doing it, and where he's going. Good morning, Jordan. How are you today?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Can't complain. Another beautiful day. Luxury Bazaar, welcome to our office. Welcome to Philadelphia. Is this your first time here?
First time here, and the office is crazy, bro. This has been a great experience so far.
Yeah. We try to make the office very entertaining for anybody that does visit. We get such random visitors that, when you do come in, we want it to be a fun, entertaining experience.
Yeah.
This is your first time in Philadelphia?
First time, yeah.
Well, you definitely got to take the tour. I know some of the guys told you to go get a cheesesteak, go to the Rocky Steps.
Yeah, I don't even eat meat, so no on a cheesesteak, but I'll go run up the steps.
I'm sure to have vegan cheesesteaks or...
They probably do, but isn't that a crime to eat like a vegan cheesesteak in Philly?
Yeah, in Philly, it's a crime.
They're going to cancel me for that one.
100%. Let's get into some of your history, some of your past. You're 25 years old right now.
Yeah.
How old were you when you first started, e-commerce and the whole drop shipping game and everything that got you to the point of where you are today?
Well, when I started drop shipping specifically, it was in 2017. I was 19 years old. I had just graduated high school. But prior to that, I had a history of trying to do entrepreneurship. I started a couple different businesses in the sneaker industry. I tried to start my own clothing brand. I was hustling different side jobs on Craigslist, flipping different items, really trying to get money in any way that I possibly could. But after I graduated high school, I didn't have that much money to my name, and my mom didn't really accept the idea of me being an entrepreneur. She's like, you gotta go to college. Yep. So I ended up going to college, and after my first year at college, I was fed up with it, and that's when I got into dropshipping.
I got you. Yeah, I had a very similar path of, I love that whole grinder, hustler lifestyle. I mean, I've been doing that since I was a kid, and it sounds like you were too.
Yeah.
And college is not made for people like us.
Yeah.
It's funny, I don't mean to talk about myself, but when I was in college, I did I went to Drexel. Drexel has a program where you do 6 months of school, 6 months you work for a company, and I worked for Wyeth Pharmaceuticals, which was a giant corporate, fucking establishment. Mm-hmm. And the guy next to me was 25 years old. I was 18 years old or 19 years old, and he was like, one day if you really work hard, you could become a project manager like myself. You're going to make $50,000 a year. It's going to be amazing. At the time, I was already selling stuff on eBay, selling stuff online, and I was doing so much more than that. I was like, fuck this. I quit that day.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a very similar, experience. Well, how did you get into drop shipping? How did you get into e-commerce? Or, obviously you went through the sneaker game. Why didn't that stick? Why didn't you stick to sneakers?
Well, I think it was just not understanding the principles of building a successful business. Back then, I didn't really understand this idea that to make something great, it takes time. I was really trying to do stuff and see results with it within the first 6 months to a year. And when it didn't pop off, I would be looking for the next thing because I always thought that the thing was the problem. Yeah. What I found as I grew older was that the real result comes from finding one path and sticking to it. By the time I was at this point where I was out of high school and I was figuring out what I wanted to do for a business, I found out about dropshipping through different people on YouTube, and I saw somebody that was pretty close to me that was doing it successfully, and I thought that it could be perfect for me because of these skills that I had acquired over the years. I knew how to make videos, I knew how to make websites, and I had a basic understanding of the internet. There was another video business that I had tried to start in the past where we were doing paid advertising. Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of understanding of that. So I just dove head first on this business because I figured it was something that would work for me.
That is the perfect business to get into, having all that, all those skills. Those skills are perfect for e-commerce.
Yeah.
And you remind me a lot of myself at your age, except I got into a completely different industry. You mentioned YouTube. I wanted to get your, your story of how you got into YouTube. I know right now you're at a significant level. I mean, 842,000 subscribers. That's serious. How did you achieve that?
Well, before I even ever started my own business or tried to do anything entrepreneur related, I was making YouTube videos. It was always something that I wanted to do because growing up, I didn't really watch a lot of TV. I watched YouTube, and I saw these different creators. Some of them were young, some of them were in their teens, and I was really inspired by that, and I wanted to be just like them. None of the videos I ever made back then popped off, or nothing ever got views, but I was genuinely doing it because it was fun for me. We would do skits, we would do basketball videos, we'd do skateboarding videos, whatever we really wanted. Me and my friends in my neighborhood, I was always the one coming up with the idea, but they were jumping in on it and doing it with me. So it's always something that I've been interested in since I was probably 12 years old. It's always been something I wanted to do.
It's cool to hear the fact that you were into YouTube before you got into making money online, because it was almost the same thing. Imagine if you committed yourself to YouTube from, that young age.
I know.
You would have been Mr. Beast 2.0. I mean, he started it. He was making videos every single day, for years, and there was nothing, no money coming out of that, and then suddenly popped off. You could have done that. I mean, you're not that far away. You're only about 150 million subscribers.
Well, my path went the way it did, and I'm grateful for it, because at the end of the day, I got a new set of skills and a different lifestyle that allowed me to become this version of myself. And maybe if I would have stuck with them little funny skits, I would have been an Instagram comedian, and I would have been burnt out now by 25. But because I took the time to become an entrepreneur, build my business, and build myself up in that front, now we're at the cutting edge of entrepreneurship YouTube, and we have one of the fastest growing channels there.
It's amazing. I mean, I love the confidence. I lots of respect for what you're doing and how you're doing it, and the fact that you're not really questioning yourself. Oh man, I should have done this, I should have done that. What you did, and it led to who you are today. One of my favorite, videos, or I guess a series of videos on your channel, is when you ask millionaires what they do for a living. You knock on doors, you just, go on boats or whatever, however you reach them. The one question I have from that whole series is, what did you learn from them, or is there a common theme that you were able to pick up, from, I guess, just millionaires and what they do for a living?
The common theme that I picked up from being around so many successful people, there's many. It's hard to just decide one. I think what I've learned is that people respect persistence. So for me to get into some of these doors where I wasn't previously invited, a lot of the reason for that is because I would go for it and I would have that self-confidence to ask for it. It's a hard question, because there's so many lessons I learned, and it's all unique. The number one lesson I would learn from being around all these people is that anything's possible. I've met entrepreneurs that are 21 years old and worth over $10 million. I met people that's 18 years old making $100,000 a month, and I met 50-year-olds that are doing big numbers as well. So all these people come from different backgrounds. Almost none of them came from a background of having a lot of money in the first place, and they've been able to build incredible things. So if there was one common thing I could say I learned from being around all these people, is that anything is possible. These guys and girls all started from a difficult situation, and they turned into greatness, and that just gives me the confidence to continue doing what I'm doing.
That's amazing. I constantly wonder if people, you see a lot of wealthy, and you live in Miami. I mean, I lived in Miami for 8 years. You see tons of money, tons of successful people over there. And the question is always, what do you do for a living? I remember one day I was walking into Starbucks. My office was right down the street. And when I lived there, I was in the finance industry, and I was dressed, like $1 million. And this kid comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, what do you do for a living?" And I was like, oh my God, this kid just asked me the question that I want to ask everybody else that I see.
Yeah.
The fact that people do it now with what's his name? Dan. Why can't I remember his name?
It's a couple people that do that. Daniel Mack.
Daniel Mack, there you go.
It's a couple people that do that. And that's the thing. It's funny when you say oh, I like those videos when you ask people what they do for a living. It's I don't really want that to go down as my the thing that everybody remembers me for, but I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to do that successfully, and arguably will be one of the more successful people to do that. But yeah, it's something that is a question that everybody has.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that everybody wants to know, because they think that there might be a shortcut. There might be an easier way. Oh, that guy is young and wealthy. How can I do the same thing that he does?
Yeah.
So I always wonder if it's again, typically when I would talk to wealthier people, a lot of them were these older Russian men, and they would sit at Starbucks all day long, smoking cigars. Their, $500,000 cars are sitting parked out front. And when you talk to them, they're like, oh, what do you do? Telecommunications. The fuck does that mean? What do you sell cell phones? I have no idea what that means, but they would always use very vague terms, real estate.
Yeah,
okay?
Investing.
Yeah.
Some of the richest people we've ever spoken to, they say, what do you do for a living? We say, investing. It's
what? Can I invest too?
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds fake.
There's no secret job. There's no secret occupation that you're going to go into and it's going to make you a multi-billionaire. It really comes down to picking something that's true to your values and sticking with that until it works.
So think about it like this. If you were a 20-year-old kid today, whether you're in college or you just dropped out, based on what you've learned, from talking to these millionaires or being around millionaires, just being around successful people, what would you recommend they do?
Yeah, so if I had to go back to starting my journey, I would understand that the first thing that you need to understand is what type of person are you and what type of entrepreneur are you. If you go and try to start a business that you saw somebody else do just because it worked for them, it's almost guaranteed to fail. Okay. You have to ask yourself, what skills do I have to provide to the world? What do I love to do? Why do I want to do this? And make your decision based off of that. That is going to lead you to the path that's going to be the most successful for you. That's how I feel about YouTube. The reason why I end up doing YouTube and did it successfully is because I did it as a kid, and it's truly a passion of mine. When I make my videos, I get that childlike energy and that love that I had from way back in the day. When I try to do other things that are business related, even like studying about investing and learning about stocks and all these other things that I need to be doing, and I do them, it's not as fun for me, So when I learned what I really loved to do and I stuck with that until it worked is when I really had my breakthrough. So that's the question that you need to ask yourself. It's not what's the best business, what's the best niche, what's the best book to read. It's more like, what do I like to do and what can I provide to the world? I wonder,
I'm a little bit older than you, and I've done a bunch of different businesses, and I've sold a bunch of different businesses, and I had agencies, and I had all that stuff. And if today I wanted to get into something, I can honestly tell you I have no idea what it is. Mm-hmm. What are you good at? Good at a lot of things. What do I want to do that makes me happy? Ultimately just be independently wealthy. Mm-hmm. Working is not, if you don't have to do stuff for a living, then it's a lot more, it's a lot more fun. Just think about it. If you were creating content just for the sake of creating content, then you don't care. There's no rules. There was no, oh crap, I got to mention this sponsor. Oh crap, I can't be over this, amount of time because, my viewership will drop. If you just do it for fun, it's a different story. And I think that people need to kind of figure out what they enjoy, and like you just said, like what type of person you are, what you want to do. It's still a very vague, situation. Like take any random person, just be like, okay, what do you like to do? I don't know, I like to be on Instagram. Okay, I guess that could be a start. Mm-hmm. Like, why don't you become an influencer? Why don't you start posting content? I guess I just answered my own question there.
Look, if you don't know what you like to do, then you need to start doing stuff.
Okay,
and you will learn and you will figure out what you like to do. I did YouTube on this channel that I have today, and I started it in 2017. And sure, I enjoyed it, and I was posting 3 videos a week. But at a certain point, it stopped growing, and I started hating it again. So then I went back to the drawing board, and I started doing other things. I started another Shopify store. I started a software business. I did all these different events all across Los Angeles. I did speaking. I did mentorship. I tried 5 different businesses before ultimately I found myself back at this thing that I wanted to do before I had money. So it's like you're going to have to try stuff so you can find what you love to do. You're not going to think your way into it.
That's super funny, the fact that you had to do like this entire circle to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
But I guess you wouldn't know it if you didn't try all these things.
Yeah.
You didn't mention Shopify. I know that you recently sold one of your businesses. Are you able to talk about what it was and what your exit was like?
The business I can be fully transparent about because I was transparent. I documented the entire journey of building the business on my YouTube channel pretty much from day one. I shared when we got our first sales, when we had our first profitable month, all the way up until I sold the business. The business was called Sleep Band. We created these headphones designed for sleeping, and it was one of my most successful products to date. We sold just under $2 million of this product in under 2 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you just sold it. Can you talk about how much you sold it for?
No, we sold it in August. It was a pretty successful sale, but part of our agreement was confidentiality on the amount of the sale. He knew who I was when he bought the business from me, and he's still interested in growing it and maybe trying to flip it himself. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Are you still a part of it at all?
For the first 3 months, I was there to give him consulting and answer his questions, but now I'm not involved in it anymore.
Got you. And about the whole speaking mentoring program, I know you were associated with Underground Earners. Is that still a thing?
No, it's not. That was one of my first projects that I did when I lived in Los Angeles. Basically, we would rent out these gigantic houses, and we would get these entrepreneurs from all around the world to come in and speak at our event. And it was something that I was really passionate about. I like hosting people. I like having that experience of giving game and educating people. But that business was one of the most stressful ones that I ever ran, with the lowest profit margin of them all.
Really? Why? What was the stress?
I was facilitating the travel for all these people, making sure they got there. I was selling the tickets for the event. I was setting up the event and getting the tables and getting the caterer. And it was just all this effort just for one night. And then when we finally get to the end and we get to break bread on it, it's not that much left over. But the biggest thing is that the people that attended that event 4 years ago still reach out to me to this day saying how it impacted them and how it changed their life. So as I continue down my life later on, I would see myself doing events again in the future because I do like them.
That's pretty amazing, being able to affect people, especially for that long. Like, I think what would kill me would be like one bad review. If like one person that attended would have been like, yeah, that was kind of useless, that would fucking kill me. I wouldn't be able to do it again.
Yeah, me too. And that's why I put such an emphasis on making it the highest quality experience, because people were spending around $5,000 per ticket to come to this event.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm always a fan of like people that organize these things, that talk at these things. I've never actually attended one myself, but I'm a big fan of that whole situation.
There's a funny story about the Underground Earners event. So we did it in Bel Air in an Airbnb, this gigantic Airbnb, and I had booked the house. And I told the guy, hey, I was booking the house. Me and my buddies are coming over. We're just going to hang out there, do nothing crazy. And of course, we had a full-scale event there. So within 2 hours of me checking in, we had 2 trucks back up with tables, chairs, a chef. They literally put gigantic tables like this all throughout the house. We moved all the furniture into the garage, and the guy sees it on the camera and he calls me and he's like, what are you doing to my house? And I was like, we're just doing an event. Like, it's going to go by in like just a day and we'll move on. He's like, no, you can't do this. I'm going to make sure that you guys can't do this. So I hung up on him. And then we continued doing the event, and we successfully hosted the event. We cleaned up everything. And then at the end of it all, the guy came over. He was not very happy, but I talked to him. He saw his house was in perfect condition, and we got 5 stars on Airbnb still to this day.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Wow. I can imagine like looking at my house cameras and seeing like all this shit going down.
Yeah, we flipped the whole house, but it was fun.
Wild.
It was fun.
I'm happy that it went well.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Well, I really like what I'm doing on YouTube, and I found myself now really finding love for spending time with other entrepreneurs around the world. I think if I take that show of meeting with successful entrepreneurs, I could do that around the planet. We can go to different continents. We can go to places that people don't even know there's successful people at. I also see myself sticking in this world of business. As much as I love doing YouTube, the big foundation behind my YouTube is me being an entrepreneur. At the moment, I have a software company, and that's my only company that I run. After I sell that, I'm not sure what's next for me. I find myself not being one to look too far ahead and just focus on what's in front of me right now and trying to do that at the highest level possible. So I can't predict where I'll be in 5 years. 5 years from where I was today, I couldn't predict myself being right here sitting with you. So it's not something that I've ever focused too much on. I found that as long as you give your best effort every single day, you actually might be downplaying yourself by trying to estimate where you'll be at in 5 years. You actually could have been way less.
Correct. You could have undershot your goal.
Yeah.
That's really actually very interesting to hear. It's really cool to see that sort of outlook, because typically when I ask this question, people are like, oh, numerous locations, $100 million in sales, blah, blah, blah. Like,
and maybe I should be like that. I don't know. But what's worked for me is as I described to you today.
I kind of like your outlook. Like maybe $100 million in sales is too low.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be at $200 million of sales if that was the goal.
Yeah.
So Roman constantly says, have like big goals and take small steps to achieve them.
Yeah.
I'm not really a goal guy. Like I don't actually have a goal. I don't have a number. I don't have ultimately, I guess the ultimate goal is to be happy doing what you love.
Funny story about goals is that last year I had set a goal for myself to accomplish 750,000 subscribers on my channel. On December 31st at around 10 p.m., I hit 750,000 subscribers. What if I said 1,750,000 subscribers? Do you think I would have pushed and made my actions more in line to accomplish that goal? That can be the only problem with goal setting, is that sometimes we set them a little too small and we end up right there, but we could have actually doubled that and we could have accomplished that one instead. So
maybe the lesson here is whatever your goal is, double it.
Yeah.
Triple it. Go for like the bigger number that you know or that you believe is not achievable, and see how well you do with that.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, it's been really a pleasure to have you here. I think that our viewers, our listeners, really can learn a lot from just seeing your journey, seeing the content that you put out. I'm a big fan of it. I know that you did a couple episodes with some people that we know, and I love, watching it. And that's actually how I got into your content. But then I went back and I just watched a bunch of different stuff that you did, and It's awesome. It really is. So congratulations on all the success, and I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing next. I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's not just me. It's my boy Teo, too. He does all the videos with me, so they're not possible without him. But I appreciate the support, bro, for real.
Of course. Nothing happens without a team.
That's right.
I thank you again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, make sure to show us some love. Like, comment, subscribe, write a review on the podcast. Let us know that you like us doing this, and we'll continue doing this every single day. Take care.
All right, see ya.